daughters, sisters, and wives. He says they're gonna change our lives. He says in women, in girls. They'll make a better world. Invest in her. Invest in her. Invest in her. Invest in her. And now here's your host, Catherine Gray.
Welcome to this week's edition of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. And as you all know, as I remind you every week, we are all about funding women and helping you grow your business. Today, I have on an expert that's going to talk to us about how branding can help grow your business. I want to welcome to the show the co-founder of Quartermain Media, Abby Woods. Hi, Abby.
Hi there, Catherine. Hi, everybody.
Hey, I'm so happy to have you on to talk about this. First, I want to talk a little bit about you and how you got into branding, but you are definitely in an interesting niche because you take social media and entertainment and put it together. And we're going to talk about what that means, how you promote influencers and, how you are involved with some new platforms like Meta and Twitch, and we'll talk about that. But first, you were sharing with me, you go back between Mississippi and LA. Where are you today?
Yes, so today I am in Mississippi.
Wow.
I'm in Hart, Mississippi, but I am between Los Angeles, which is my original hometown, and Mississippi, where my husband's from.
Oh, boy, that couldn't be, they couldn't be any more different, I imagine.
Oh boy. I mean, I said I'm from Los Angeles. So the switch up, the change that I've had to adjust to has been very interesting. But I appreciate the peace and quiet and the open space that comes with being in Mississippi. But the intensity of LA and I'll say the decadence of LA is not something, it's something that I do miss every now and again.
The decadence. I like that. We could do a whole podcast on this conversation, I'm sure, but
Yes,
we'll just keep moving. But you're in an exciting niche, and I want to talk about all the cool things that you are doing and have done. There's so many. So here's where I'd like to start. You helped build out a YouTube channel for Disney, right? Was it?
Oh yeah. So I was that's when I feel like I got bit by the video production bug. I was working at Maker Studios. It's now called Disney Interactive. But I came in as a consultant. A dear girlfriend named Shelly Odo suggested me for this job opportunity. And I started working at Maker, and my assignment was to help build the Walt Disney World Best Day Ever channel. And to this day, it is still one of those things where I would look up sometimes and I'd say, I'm at work? No way.
Yeah.
Like we're filming in the park and we're filming at Walt Disney World, and I'm getting to understand and see the vision of Disney that was just like way bigger. And I would say that that's the main thing that I walked away from that experience, which was dream bigger. Whatever it was that I wanted, think even bigger than that. Because, there was a time when there was no Disney, right? At all. There was no Disney World. And the idea of a Disney World from even just a Disneyland, I mean, all of it, it's very, very, it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. Right. And that was one of the best jobs ever. Talk about best day ever. It was one of the best jobs ever. We were crazy. Yeah, we were crazy kids running around with cameras and like ideas and shooting short form content. And it was a time of my life.
Oh, it sounds like a blast. And then that took you to, so you and your husband started Quartermain Media, right?
Yes.
I know you help all size brands, small businesses, large brands. But you mentioned to me that you're the first Black-owned creative agency with a full production capability to be listed in the YouTube services directory. That's a big deal.
Yes, I know. We always say that we are the first, because it's our hope that we will open the door for others and encourage other creative agencies and other production companies to be engaged with these platforms. They seem so huge. YouTube is owned by Google, right? It kind of could seem so massive, but the people at Google, the people at working at YouTube, they actually adore and love working with little scrappy, I call them scrappy companies like ours, because we remind them of where they began, right? The rawness of YouTube and, people shooting and filming in their bedrooms is still quite popular. And so I think that they are not opposed, I would say, to working with companies that aren't these massive production companies. Like, I would encourage people to lean into learning more about how to work with them and others. I think I mentioned to you that we've begun working with Meta, Facebook, Instagram, all those guys, Twitch. And, we really want
I'm so embarrassed to say when you said you're working with Twitch, and I'm like, oh, I know Twitch. I love his dancing. And you're like, no, Catherine, it's a platform. And I'm like, oh, I just dated myself. What is Twitch? What is that? Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a
good time to tell me.
Yeah, it's a live streaming platform, and it's actually really, really cool. A lot of gamers, that's where they get busy. And it's because it really lends itself to this live video experience and interaction, and the community, the Twitch community, the Twitch creator community. There's some awesome people. I can't even lie. There's some awesome people, and they're small. They're not the big place, right? But they're growing. They're growing by leaps and bounds, and they were purchased by Amazon. And so I just expect some really great things to come out of Twitch in the near future.
So is it
like their community is really strong.
Is it kind of like a TikTok or like a YouTube or?
I would liken it almost to YouTube Live. So where you're kind of always on. Gamers, they are successful because they actually upload, or they are, live on their platforms every day, like all the time, every day. And so Twitch really kind of lends itself to that type of entertainment. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they have a lot of cosplay too. They have cosplay. They have a lot of other categories are kind of becoming familiar with what to do with Twitch. I hear there's a lot of nonprofits that are using the platform for donations because they have a really good, robust capability there. And so, yeah,
I was just going to say, it doesn't sound like I'm the demo for this, but we do have a nonprofit called She Angels Foundation. So maybe we should look into it.
I think you should. I definitely think you should.
Okay, good. So you have so many firsts. Well, let me first mention that, because we were talking about YouTube, that you took comedian Kevin Hart's YouTube, and grew it from 400,000 to 2 million in 9 months. How do you do that? And I can see that's why you're in this arena, because who doesn't need you for this, Well,
honestly, we've worked with other brands, but Kevin Hart is a special guy. He's such an amazing talent. And I would say that as much as we helped them to grow to that in such a short amount of time, Kevin and Cold as Balls and a lot of their series that they had, a lot of the comedians and a lot of the collaborators that we helped them to find and, work with, it was a group effort. They have a really awesome team. The Laugh Out Loud Network executives, they are just a wonderful group of people. We still keep in touch. And Ty Randolph over there's a lot of great people over there that are just doing some wonderful things. But Kevin, I'll say, it's a force to be reckoned with, and so it takes, Kevin is, I want to take I'll take a little bit of credit, but I'll give Kevin the most.
Yeah, he's quite a character. I mean, there's nobody like him. Let's put it that way, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
So you actually, during the pandemic, did something really unique. You launched this magazine about Black influencers, right? And we're telling their stories, which I think is really fascinating. In fact, it seems like it'd be a great podcast or something, But so what made you decide to do a magazine? What's the content of it? And this is what I was saying in the beginning of the show, that you kind of mix social media and entertainment. And here's a perfect example of that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it really is. So it was 2020. It was actually, my gosh, it was literally 2 years ago around this time. And I was one of those creatives that was like, oh my gosh, it's shutting down. What are we gonna do? And production shut down. Being able to do a lot of the things and the conversations that we had had about getting products placed and projects placed on television or placed on a particular network or what have you, it went away. Like it literally felt like everything evaporated. And around the same time, I want to say it was in maybe around April, Earl Graves Sr. passed away, and he was the founder of Black Enterprise magazine. And I just remember feeling such sorrow, but then also leaning into it a bit to say, how do I take myself out of this? Right? This like, oh, despair, right? We're about to enter despair. And I said, I have to create. I have to create. And I said, well, wait, but I can't produce, I can't create the way I want to produce, right? I can't produce the way I want to produce, but how can I still create? How can I still produce? I'm telling you, it came to me like a lightning bolt. And I'm like, it said, that's it. I create a magazine. I was like, wait, what? And I said, well, think about it. There are a lot of people that are in your wheelhouse, these talent, these people that we've collaborated with,
Right.
these people that we have, connected them with the likes of a Kevin Hart, to work on Laugh Out Loud Network. And I said, well, has anyone told their story? They're these brands, they're these entrepreneurs, they're these amazing talent. And I said, well, we have social media, but in 5 years or heck, 5 minutes, are you going to know to search that hashtag? Someone almost will have to tell you that these things happened.
Right.
I said, oh, there's no one archiving it. And there's some really great newsletters out here, like Tube Filter and the Future Party, who are kind of like giving us like the day over day of trends. But I didn't see a printed magazine that was like archiving what the conversations that were going on within the Black community, or conversations that would allow us to get to know what an influencer, like where they came from, what they're doing now, what inspired them to turn the camera on themselves, and what was their viral experience like, and what do they want to have happen next. So
Now,
I reached out. Actually,
I was going to say the name of that magazine is Cue the Culture, right?
Cue the Culture, yes. Cue the Culture.
Now,
it's crazy because I think about it. I think
and
about
is that still around?
Yes. So
Oh,
we
cool.
are actually we did 2 issues already. The first issue was featuring B. Scott on the cover, and it was called Genesis. And the second issue was dedicated to the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, and we called it Roaring. And we are in the process now of completing our third issue, and the theme is Black and Blue, returning that whole idea of being bruised or being beat up, Black and Blue, into more freedom and pride and beauty. And so we're having a lot of fun and we're working on it. We're chugging away. But when I met you, I said, okay, wait a minute, I need to think more about invest in her.
Yeah, right. Well, so that leads me to when you mentioned B. Scott, that you produced for BET's 20s after show with B. Scott, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
that was groundbreaking, right? Because it was the first trans hosted and executive produced show by a trans, right?
Yes, I am so proud of B. Scott, trans but non-binary. And what I would say is that I called B and I said, B, I would like you to be on the cover of my first issue. This is all like, didn't know what was going on. This was actually even before I even told my husband. I just had an idea. And B's response was, okay, Abby, but I need a producer. And that was the impetus for all of this other stuff to happen. we found ourselves on a phone call with Lena Waite and her Hillman Grad production team. Shout out to Rishi and Rocio who helped her so much. And we all just like got it together and ended up having kind of like just this wonderful conversation that ended up in a historic and groundbreaking show that I'm hopeful that BET just and the community that it has elevated. I just hope that to see more and more of this. And again, I hope that B. Scott will just be the first now and will have ushered in that they will have ushered in more and more opportunities for anyone who wants to be a host and be an executive producer of a show to be able to do that.
I love that. I love that she was both. And, I wanted to share with you a little story that back in the 80s, I produced a show with the trans host in the 1980s. Now, she wasn't the executive producer, so it's not the same. But it wasn't nationwide. I bought the airtime in Miami and aired it. It was called Way Off Broadway. I just connected with the woman who was the trans woman that was the host of it just recently through Facebook. I'm like, how are you doing? We haven't talked in 20 or 30 years, but I realized at the time, I didn't realize how groundbreaking it was. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, this was a big deal because like you said, no trans had ever even been on television. I mean, of course, now that in the last decade, that's not the case. But back in the 80s, it was a pretty big deal. And people called up the network and they're like, what did you put on? But I bought the airtime and put the show on. So anyway, it was a little piece of groundbreaking history and nice to see that you're getting something like that on mainstream, BET globally with a known person in that entity and that they're the executive producer. Love it all. Everything you're doing is so groundbreaking. So now we said we were going to talk about why branding is so important to businesses. And I think you specifically need to talk about why it's important for businesses today to align with influencers, because I know that's the new branding, marketing buzzword or buzz thing to be doing. Can you address that?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to make one correction. So B. Scott actually goes by them, they. That's their pronouns.
Right. And I'm so bad about that. Everybody
it's okay.
is.
It's so funny because B will tell you, they'll say, I'm still trying to get it together too.
It's true. We all are having it's new pronouns for us. So thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that.
But I think it's amazing when you can get an opportunity to have your brand, whatever it is that you're building, to align with another brand. And I want people to really think about that. It's not just seeing them as influencers or social media talent, really actually seeing them as a brand. I think actually the traditional celebrity talent has really started to see this as well. And they're not just seeing themselves as an actor or an actress, but they're actually seeing themselves as brands. And so what you're looking for is an opportunity to really collaborate, to partner with another brand to help elevate whatever it is your conversation is, or whatever it is your products are. And there's really fun ways to do it. You don't always need to go with someone that has millions and millions and millions of followers either. Sometimes you just need someone to tell 10 more people that can tell 10 more people that can tell 10 more people that can tell 10 more people about what you're doing or about your product. And if you have someone who's passionate, a lot of times their audiences are so excited for them to get any kind of opportunity. You'd actually be amazed at the engagement. Well, and when I say engagement, I mean a click through or interest in action to find a little bit more about that product or a little bit more about that service. And so, I really, really like to encourage people, especially who are entrepreneurs, to find someone who's in your lane, but that may want to just do a video or do a review or do an unboxing. Those things are just, they're not going to go out of style just yet.
Right. And so that is kind of the new way of branding and marketing, isn't it? And so if someone contacted Quartermain Media and spoke to you about how to grow their business, it would be you putting their business with someone that aligns with them, that's an influencer, so that you can help each other grow.
Yes, we love to consider ourselves a bridge. And we've had the pleasure to do this with major brands, but we've also been doing it with nonprofits. Like I said, we've been working with the California community colleges. We've been working, most recently, we worked with the Los Angeles County Office of Diversion and Reentry. We've worked with the Marshall Project. There have just been a really great opportunities that have come our way to be able to be that bridge. To be able to help each brand to be respectful of each other and respectful of their audiences and what the reach and ultimate goals that they're trying to accomplish.
I love that. So I know you've worked with, as big a companies as Sephora, Sony, and Skechers and Toyota, but the average entrepreneur could literally take their business and grow it by aligning with other influencers that are other brands. And they would contact someone like Quartermain to say, hey, I don't know, what brand influencer would be a good fit with me, but can you help me with that? And you all reach out to them and put them together. Is that right?
Yes. And we help them to identify
the videos and everything.
Yes, we can do it all there. So what we do like to do is to make sure you are aware of the profiles of the talent, give you some options and considerations. We help with the agreement process because we know that and negotiating rates can be a challenge too. And then also, you just never know. Sometimes some of the influencers that we're working with, they actually are interested in wanting to get case studies to show that they can do this thing. So you would be amazed. Some of them may even do it for product. We prefer the brand that people pay our talent. That is really the way we'd like to go. But as some of these influencers are wanting to get off the ground, they need to show that they can do an unboxing. They need to show that they can review your product and get some eyeballs on what it is you're doing.
I love that. I think I might have some clients for you.
Yeah, so those are the fun things, and you just never know. And then I think that there's just the language aspect, right? I think some brands, and I'll use as a really great example. They're very polished with their work. They don't want something that's raw and kind of like run and gun. So they have a lot of layers of approval and things like that. Well, that's a particular brand that has those things. But a lot of entrepreneurs, they're just like, I just want to see how this goes, and then I'll let you know if I want more. Well, that's all. There's a market for that too.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're doing, mixing the social with the entertainment and promoting influencers to help build their brand and help people in who align with them to build their brand. So love the concept, love the conversation today. How can people find you, Abby?
Sure. I'm on LinkedIn as Abby Woods, but I'm also would love for people to follow us on Instagram at A Tribe Called Quartermain. I did tell you, but Quartermain is definitely one of those things that people might remember. I'm going to date myself. They are the wealthy family that was on One Life to Live and all General Hospital and all the ABC.
Oh yeah, folks. The Quartermains. Right. I love that.
Yes. And so we have our website, quartermainmedia.com. And people can also visit cuetheculture.com to check us out there. We're going to be turning that into a blog very soon. So I'm really excited for everything going on with the magazine.
Yeah, Cue the Culture sounds really interesting to look up and learn the stories of how these influencers got started, especially if somebody's wanting to get, be an influencer themselves. Well, Thank you so much for sharing your story and this great information that will help people to grow their business. Love that. Everybody, of course, you can remember to follow me on Instagram, Catherine Gray at Invest in Her, and also our She Angel Investors. I also have a new course out that is called 6 Ways to Fund Your Business. So it's funding made simple for female founders. And we're really proud to share that information with people. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day. Remember, if you're looking to launch a business or grow your business, check out our e-course, 6 Ways to Fund Your Business, available at sheangelinvestors.com.
Our theme music was created and produced by Lindsay Tomasic.